What's up everybody? In today's video, I'm going to be showing you 5 different ways to find foreclosures in your area. So let's jump into it. The first way to find foreclosures is to use a website called PropStream. And I have an entire tutorial video below. It's basically a 10-minute video on how to use it. But in a nutshell, here's what you're going to do. You're going to log into PropStream and you can type in whatever city or area you live in. So I'll just do Alexandria, Virginia as an example, and we're gonna find all the foreclosures and pre-foreclosures in this city. So as you can see, what happens is it basically pulls up all the properties. Oh, I actually used to own a property in this building. And then what you're going to do is you're gonna go to filter and you can sort it by so many different criteria. For this one, we're just gonna do pre-foreclosures as well as foreclosures. So it's gonna have to be 2 different lists, but pre-foreclosure, you'd basically just go here and then you can do notice of default, auctions, default releases. And you can also just go up here and just do pre-foreclosures and it's going to be the same list, but we'll just do it this way. And as you can see now, you only have 15 properties. Now what you would do with these 15 properties, PropStream makes it very easy to skip trace these people. So you could basically click on all of them and then you go over here and skip trace every single one. And what skip tracing does, it gives you their phone number, email, mailing address, names, tons of information. So it's a really cool resource. And you can basically contact these people and say, look, your property's headed to foreclosure. I can purchase it from you, so long as there's equity in the home. And hopefully, you can stop the foreclosure sale. Now, one thing to note about marketing to pre-foreclosure, every city and every area is going to have different laws in regards to that. In fact, I think in the state of Maryland, it might even be illegal to market to pre-foreclosures. So always, double check with your jurisdiction, and keep in mind too, it's going to be a stressful situation for the seller, and they might be receiving, different letters from different people. So just keep that in mind. But if you do a really consistent and targeted campaign, you will get some leads and you will get some deals. Now I'm going to show you how to find the foreclosed properties in your area. So the ones that have already gone through pre-foreclosure and are currently owned by the bank. So we'll use the same city, do filter, pre-foreclosure, bank owned, and then we go on to bank owned. And it's going to give you a list of this is 79 properties. So it's going to give you some information there. And what we also want with this is to do MLS status. So usually we want properties that are not listed, but in the case of foreclosed and bank owned properties, oftentimes getting them on market is actually a pretty good strategy. So here we have 2 foreclosures that are actively, listed on the market with an agent. And, if you can't catch them in pre-foreclosure, then the bank, it's just a little bit more difficult to purchase off market directly from the bank, unless you just have some amazing relationships. But you can actually find some good foreclosure deals on the MLS. So here's 2 right here. And obviously you can add different cities, different zip codes. There's different properties that are going to come up. And I can guarantee you, if you evaluated 10 or 20 of these deals, there's going to be 1 or 2 out of 10 or 20 that are probably going to be really good deals. And I'm going to show you in a few minutes here how the search looks on the MLS, because you really want to use PropStream as well as the MLS so you can catch everything that's listed as well as everything that's, in pre-foreclosure and coming up. The second way to find foreclosures is through paid subscription sites that specialize in foreclosures. So one of these is Realty Track. And then there's also foreclosure.com. And so you can see here, you can basically search like nationwide. You do have to pay a monthly fee, but it's going to be much more accurate than like Zillow foreclosures. If you're familiar with like Zillow foreclosures, they have pretty much like half the city under foreclosure. If someone missed a payment like 3 or 4 years ago, it still might show up as a foreclosure. So these sites are going to be much more accurate, and there probably will be some spillover onto PropStream. So there's going to be some of the same properties, but there's probably going to be additional ones on this site as well. So if you really want to be like the foreclosure expert in your area, I would recommend, not only using PropStream, but also using these resources. The next way to find foreclosures is to go to local county real estate auctions. And if you've never been to a real estate auction, it's pretty interesting actually to go to, because it'll just be like some random person almost in like a hoodie sweatshirt like I'm wearing, and they'll typically have a list of properties, and it'll be very like discreet typically. In some areas like Maricopa County and Phoenix, it's like they have donuts and coffee and it's like this big event. But most counties, it's going to be very discreet. It's just going to be like the person representing the bank or the lender. And if the auction starts at 9 a.m., the guy or gal is just going to start his process at 9 a.m. There might be 1 person, there might be like 20 people there. Usually I found there's really just a few people there. And so if you ever walk by a courthouse like early in the morning and you see kind of like a group of people in a circle, that's typically the real estate auction. And they're just going to go through each property and just kind of like raffle it off in a sense. And I would give a few words of cautions with auctions. Like the majority of the time, the bank is going to want significantly more than what it would make sense for you to purchase it. So there's not always like all these great deals. I would really only recommend auctions if you just want to be like the foreclosure master for your area. And you might as well just check it out just to gain some more experience, and you can find some cash buyers there if you're looking for those. And another thing, Warren Buffett, even though he doesn't exactly go to real estate auctions, he hates the idea of auctions because he always believes that auctions cause people to basically overpay. So he hates being in any type of bidding war because, when you're at a real estate auction and you see, your competitor right there, they're bidding against you, sometimes you can overpay for those types of properties. So when you go to a real estate auction, you really need to know the number, the maximum amount you would pay for this property, and you can't really be influenced, by too many other competitors. Another thing to know about auctions is that you're typically going to have to do your own title search before closing, and then you're going to have to oftentimes pay in cash. So I know experienced investors who have lost a lot of money because of just undisclosed like title issues and things like that happen with the auction process. So you need to be very careful when it comes to that. In fact, I wouldn't even recommend auctions for newbie investors.
We bought a property from a foreclosure auction. We ran title ahead of time. We bought the property at the foreclosure auction. We were pretty fired up about it. And we went to go get title insurance on the property after the fact, after you purchase it. And guess what? We found out that there was a miss on the title search to the tune of a $200,000 first position mortgage that did not show up on the title search. JWB paid over $100,000 at this auction to buy this property. And it came saddled with an additional $200,000 in costs. No bueno. That means that's just a loss right there to JWB. That's over $100,000 down the drain. Now, imagine...
The only time I would really recommend going to a real estate auction, besides just going there for like a little bit of experience and entertainment, because you'll see all different types of characters there, from the Wall Street people to just everyone in between. If you have some type of like insider type of information about the property, like let's say you live on one street or in a building, and your next door neighbor, that property is literally going to foreclosure, and you know everything about it, the condition, the liens, the title history, things like that. If you have a competitive advantage like that, then I would recommend, going to auctions. But 99% of the time, you're not even going to know what the property looks like on the inside, so you're going to have to factor in your renovation costs. There are actually some bidding services specializing in real estate auctions. So if you can find one of those, often I think they're more based in like the Phoenix areas or where there's a ton of auction activity, but you can basically pay a bidding service to go down to the courthouse for you, and you just tell them the maximum amount you're going to pay for like the different properties that are up for auction that day, and they can bid for you. And I think it might be free, and then you pay them some type of commission if the deal closes. You'll have to look into it more, because I don't really do a ton of auction deals, but that could obviously save you a ton of time, because like I said, most properties go back to the bank and then they're listed 6 months down the road as an REO.
The next way to find foreclosures in your area is to use the MLS. So this is why I recommend you should always get your license if you're an investor, because number one, you can access the MLS. But number two, if you were to make an offer on one of these foreclosure properties that I'm about to show you, you're going to get a buyer's agent commission. So that's going to, give you a little bit of money and make your closing costs a little bit less. So we're going to do residential foreclosures. I'm going to come down all the way to the type of property. So here's the sale type. Auctions on the MLS, those are typically just non-realistic. So I'm going to do bankruptcy, HUD owned, in foreclosure. We'll just do everything. Notice of default, we won't do probate. REO is probably the most important one that you want to do. That's probably going to be where most of the listings are. And then a short sale is kind of similar to a foreclosure. The owner's in distress. They owe more than what the property's worth. The bank hasn't really accepted a number yet that they're willing to take. But I found with short sales, if you can be patient and, typically the way a short sale works, you would make an offer and then the bank might take a month, 2, 3, 4 months to actually respond to the offer. But there's a lot less competition because most people don't want to wait around too long. So, don't ignore short sales. And we'll include third-party approval on there as well. Sometimes that might be more of like an inherited property type of situation, but we're just going to have a list of all these distressed type of sales. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to map, and you're just going to do the area. So I'll just do Washington, D.C., see what we have around here. So these are basically all the foreclosure and distress types of properties. So you got Maryland, Virginia, DC, Let's just see what kind of price ranges. So here we go. We got $1 million. You know, not all these might not be foreclosures, but a lot of them are. I actually know that guy. So, you know, you can see that there's foreclosures and distressed properties in all different types of price ranges. Let's go all the way to the bottom to see the lowest priced one. So we got a 1-bedroom condo for $54,000. Not a bad deal. If this is a short sale, sometimes with short sales, people just put really low prices just to get an offer, and the bank doesn't necessarily accept that. But let's just do a quick search for this one. Okay, so this is more of like an auction property, so it's probably going to get bid up a little bit. But if you were to go through this entire list of properties and then find like the 5 or 10 properties with the most potential just based on the comps, you can just do like the 70% MAO formula. You could find some good deals. So don't let people tell you that prices are too high. I mean, this is like the nation's capital, and you know, we're seeing houses for under 200K. That's actually Maryland, but you get the point. It's, you know, it's like 5 minutes away. So MLS can be a great resource. All right, so the next way to find foreclosures is to subscribe to your local newspaper. Mine is just the Washington Post. And what you're going to look for is the classifieds or the trustee sales, the legal notices. So we're going to go up here and come all the way down. And sometimes it's kind of hard to find. They don't make it too obvious where the foreclosure sales are, but they list the auction properties coming up. So in other words, they list the pre-foreclosures. So this is in classifieds. You can see death notices. We come down here to public notices, trustee and foreclosure notices. This is what we're looking for. And you can also even reach out to for sale by owners. You can make a list of both of these types of people. And then you're going to have a list of all the upcoming foreclosure properties. Now, like I mentioned, Maryland, you got to be careful. I don't do a ton of pre-foreclosure marketing because I prefer more of like the higher equity stuff where people don't need to sell their house in like a week or two. So you need to be careful with Maryland, but you're going to get some Virginia in here. You're going to get some, this is Washington, D.C. So, you know, always check with your area, but you'll get some good information. I'll just click on one of these to show you how it looks like. So you can see on the left here who the attorney is and the amount. And you can see where the actual sale, when it's going to take place. So June 22nd at 2 p.m. And what you would do is you would make a list of all these people and then you would skip trace them and then you'd contact them and just basically say, look, I want to buy your house. And if you do this enough to the right people, you will get some leads. Now, the best way to do this would probably be to have a virtual assistant just compile this entire list. And you could probably pay someone on like Fiverr or Upwork, you know, maybe $5 an hour to compile this list for you. And then you can just go market to them. And this will save you money because you're not paying for like a subscription service. And honestly, the subscription service probably gets a lot of their information from these types of legal notices. And what you can additionally do is, this is just one newspaper. Every newspaper is going to have slightly different information and probably sometimes completely different information. So you can subscribe to every single newspaper in your area, have a virtual assistant go through all of the newspapers, compile a list for you, and then once a week or maybe even daily, you'll have a list of people in pre-foreclosure that you can contact that might be looking to sell their house.
So go ahead and watch this video right here. It's going to give you more information on finding deals and real estate investing. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.